Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this licensing subcommittee hearing on the 23rd of October at 10:30. Present, we have myself, Councillor Mike Bland, Chair of the panel, along with Councillors Naomi Smith, Andrew Harvey and Tom Mellish. Also in attendance are Brian E. Williamson, the licensing officer, Peter Key, our legal advisor, and Andrea James, Democratic Services Officer. A bit of housekeeping. There is no fire alarm planned for this morning. Should the alarm sound, please leave via the nearest available emergency exit, which is either through the double doors at the back or through the glass panel on the side door there. This meeting is being filmed and made available to view in both live and archive form via the Council's website. If you are seated in the public gallery, it is possible that the cameras may capture your image, and you are deemed to be consenting to being filmed and your image and sound recordings webcast. The meeting is also being minuted. For guidance on making your own recordings, please see the notices in the agenda for this meeting. So we'll go straight to the agenda, and the first item is apologies for absence. Andrea, do we have any apologies?
No apologies, Chair.
Second item, substitute councillors. Do we have any substitutes, Andrea?
No substitutes.
Third item is declaration of any interests. I'm going to ask Andrea if any declarations have been made in advance.
None in advance, Chair.
Okay, I need to make a slight voluntary declaration here. It is possible that I am the beneficiary of a small number of shares in Morrison's. However, I do not currently, in a will, I do not currently own those shares, and they're not in my name, and I therefore consider I can continue as chair of the panel on that basis. So any other declarations of interest? No other declarations have been made. Okay, we're a bit of business. We're going to item 4, the minutes of the meetings held on the 10th and 17th of January 24. We need to confirm these minutes as a true record. So can I ask that these minutes are confirmed as a true record? Okay.
Chair, you were at both meetings, weren't you?
Yes,
So
I was at both meetings. So, right.
So
in that case, I'm going to say, as chair, I was at both meetings, and I can confirm that both of these set of minutes are accurate records. Okay. So item 5 is just to lay out the order of business, and the order of business for this morning's meeting is as laid out on page 19 of the agenda, and we will be following that order. So we'll go to item 6, which is under the Licensing Act 2003. There's been an application for a premises licence for Morrison Local Unit 2, Fairbrass Way, Saxon Fields, Thannington Without, Canterbury, CT1 3UA. We will follow that order of business, and I'm going to ask Brian E. Williamson, the licensing officer, to introduce the application.
Thank you, Chair. My report begins on page 20 of the agenda. It's been published in advance in accordance with the Constitution and the appropriate legislation. So you should have already read the report, but I'll just touch on a couple of details. So the application for Morrison Local in Fairbrass Way and Saxon Fields, and the application being that the hours open to the public are Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m, and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the supply of alcohol, which will be off sales only, is the same time. So that's Monday to Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m, and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So there's just a very slight point to note, which is that the application hours are very slightly outside of the recommended core hours in our licensing policy. which state that for off sales, this is on page 23, off sales are recommended to start at 8 a.m. and finish by 11 p.m. Monday to Saturday. So it's just 1 hour earlier on the application time compared to the recommended core hours. So there is on page 30 a copy of the full application that was made by the applicant, and on page 39 are the representations that we received. So firstly, we received a representation with no objections from Kent Fire and Rescue, a representation with no objections from Kent Police, and then the reason for the hearing was a representation from a resident who did object to the application, and that is on page 41. So we'll hear from the gentleman a little bit later, and that's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, well, this is the point at which I'm going to ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to formally make the application. So I believe it's Mr. Tamaraja. Would you like to formally make your application?
Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the council and the licensing officer and the residents here. Yes, we have made an application to open the shop in Saxonsfield, and when we look at the shop, when we get the opening and the license was, the planning permission was given for the shop, and it was giving like opening times, and on Sunday also like a slightly small hours to open, and we respect the hours, and we didn't want to open because for the convenience store, normally we open from 7 to 11. But this one, we just respect the planning permission from the council, which was given prior to the building, the Saxonsfield. And I hope the Saxonsfield was get the units built, and it was for commercial purpose. So that's what we took the business place, and we made the application. And unfortunately, one of the residents, he was not happy about. I respect him, because he was a neighbor and he has some concern. But we can assure him we will be doing the business abiding the law of England law and the licensing thing. We are in the business for last 10 years, and we got another shop, and we have the premises license, and the premises license holder, he have the license for like more than 10 years. So he know how to run the off-license thing. And the concern the resident have that there will be like a like some I didn't get it, but yeah, some of the just give me 1 second, antisocial behavior, and yeah. So the police or any other they didn't have any objection, but he have it. But we can assure that we are going with the franchisee with the Morrisons, and all the thing will be monitored by Morrisons, and all the audit and everything will be handled by them. And we are installing CCTV cameras, totally 28 cameras we are installing in the shop, and out 28, yeah. And 6 of them, it will be outside. And we are just selling off license, so there's no consumption of alcohol inside or around the premises. So we'll be make sure it will be an off license. So all the things sold, it will be consumed outside of the premises. So we can assure that one. And we'll be respecting the license and the conditions which the license giving. So we'll make sure there won't be any problems to the residents. And most of the things like on the estates, there are like 600 or 500 houses there, and there's no shops for them. So we are just want to help, and we are doing a business, but we need to help the people anyway. It's a local, for the local support, and we'll be supporting the local community.
Most of them, they hard to get up the hills or the
Yeah, so it's a bit of hill, and they need to go to the Morrison or any convenience. There's no nearby shops or anything, and they are like elderly people, it's kids, and when they go to the school and everything, so it will be a helpful for that thing. So if we grant the premises license, it will be good for our business as well, because at the moment, without alcohol or something, there's no business, because we need to pay the rent and the council rates and everything. So the bills are like things. So if you close the if we want to close the alcohol sale by 6 o'clock, practically it's not going to be a thing, because most of the people come from work after 6 or 7 o'clock, and when they come, they need to come pop into the shop and they need to get some beer or something. And there is no school around there, so I don't know why we are not going to get that one, because there's no school or something. And within a 1 kilometer, there's like a Morrison local Esso a petrol station where they're selling 24 hours alcohol there. So that's our point. And thank you for the time. Thanks for hearing.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, now we come to the point which subcommittee members can ask you any questions. So let me just clarify. The opening times of the shop are from what time in the morning?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And the shop closes at what time in the evening?
Yeah, 7 to 10. 10 o'clock in the night?
It closes at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And you're asking for a license to sell alcohol between what hours?
7 to 10.
You're asking for, so you're not going to be selling alcohol during the day?
No, 7 a.m. to 10.
So you're
10
asking
PM.
for alcohol, for a premises license for the whole period at which you're open?
Open, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And
Because as the licensing officer told that the time is like 8 in the morning to 11. We can do that one, because we applied for 7, because we don't want to get in trouble, because sometimes if we open in the early morning and if some staffs are there, we will be training, but we need to close the shutter and open, so there's some bit of time. But that's why we just asking if you can grant the 7 a.m. It will be easy to run the operation.
I'm not sure. Can you clarify that? Yeah, we didn't really follow that. So can you say it again a bit more slowly? And I'll ask the licensing officer if she's understood what you're saying, okay, in terms of the pointers you're making. So say it again a bit more slowly.
Okay. The licensing officers told the Canterbury Council's guideline is like opening times. Their suggestions are 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. But we are asking for 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. because if we get the license from 8 a.m., we need to close the shutters and everything for the wine alcohol section and everything. We need to cover up. So there will be operation difficulties for us, because we need to just check the time and go. So it will be easy, because most of the shops are Askins and like they are opening from earlier. So if we get that one, it will be easy for us to get the operation done easier and easy to manage.
Okay. Brian, how do you understand the point that's been made?
Yes, so I think that the point that the applicant is making is if the hours of alcohol were restricted from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m, it does cause them operational problems to open the shop at 7 a.m, trade for everything that's non-alcoholic, and then allow alcohol sales from 8 o'clock. So it's a fairly common problem with off sales. If they're restricted outside of the times that they're opening from, it can be quite difficult to manage.
Okay, are we clear about that point? Okay, all right. Okay, okay. Well, thanks for that clarification. The other thing I'd like to ask about is you mentioned that Morrison's do a kind of monitoring exercise. Can Can you describe what that is and how often are they monitoring? I think this came up in respect of concerns about antisocial behaviour and so on. So what is a Morrison's monitoring exercise?
The Morrisons, when we get into the franchise agreement, we need to follow their training guidelines and everything. And they got a app on the phone that each and every staff need to be get trained on that one. So it got Challenge 25 and other health and safety operations on app. So we need to follow all the staffs and everything, and they will be monitoring. And every 3 months they do auditing, and based on the auditing, we need to have everything in place. So this training need to be up to date, and the fire extinguishers and fire alarm and the pest control, all of them, they'll be come and check from the Morrison head office.
Okay, thank you. You've mentioned in that Challenge 25, and obviously that is a concern. So tell us your understanding of Challenge 25 and what staff need to know about it.
The Challenge 25, when it comes to selling the alcohol and the age-restricted products, so normally the age-restricted products for alcohol and the tobacco is 18 years, but we check the ID if they are 25. So if they look under 25, we need to get their ID and check are they 25 and everything. And for the lottery also now 18 years, and the knives and everything. So there's like age restriction product, we need to check the ID. And how do we display the products, and some of the products we need to get into the locker without seeing to the kids. So that sort of things are given training on an app basis. So everything on the application, and they can get the training for each and every staff.
Okay, thank you for that. I think I've finished my questions. So do other members of the panel have any questions? Yeah, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. How viable would the business be without selling alcohol?
Sorry, without selling alcohol?
Yes, how viable is a 7 to 10 convenience store without selling alcohol? Thank you.
As the practical situation in the England businesses now, it's very difficult to run a business, even with alcohol. I got a Morrison stores in Ashford, and with the overheads and the rent rates and the staff wages, is very difficult at the moment. Even with selling the alcohol, we are getting struggling, because the economy in British is going down at the moment, and all the bills and everything is up, and the prices of the products are going up, and the consumer purchase behavior has changed now. So we need to have all and everything in the convenience store. Otherwise, if they come for something and if they don't see anything, they will go to the other supermarket and they won't even buy a milk or bread or in our shop. So the alcohol is making a big chunk of sales in the convenience market.
Any other questions? Councillor Harvey.
Yes, thanks for that presentation. It's not necessarily a licensing issue, but it sort of pertains to the antisocial behaviour complaints that were made, or one complaint that was made. You've got quite a lot of wildflower planting down the sides of the shop at the moment. I think there was talk of clearing that to tidy it up. But one thing I noticed, if people are going to be hanging about, there's probably going to be a lot of litter thrown about, and that probably be quite difficult to remove there. But I didn't see a litter bin outside either. Have you got arrangements to take care of litter that is not actually within your ground but is in the surrounding area? Would you be looking to take care of that?
Just as you saw that today, the premises is just empty, and we are just doing the works, and it will be cleared, and there will be 2 bins on both the entrance, and the surrounding area will be cleared by our staffs each and every day. So there won't be any litter or something, because that's the first concern. Even without the antisocial behavior for the business, we need to keep our place clear and gutter free. So it need to be appeal for the customers to come in. So we'll make sure it will be clear, and all the bins and everything will be clear each and every day.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. You mentioned also that you were going to have CCTV cameras outside. So I think you said that you were going to have 6 cameras outside.
Yes, 6 cameras outside, yeah.
Okay. So if you saw some antisocial behaviour occurring, or you suspect it may be occurring through your CCTV cameras, what action would you take?
Yeah, the manager will access the videos and he will look at that thing. And if it's anything like serious or something, we'll be contacting the local police and we'll be just informing them, and we'll be sharing the data with them in future. Like if they want to access the camera for any other convenience they need, we can provide the thing, and all the CCTV recording will be kept for 31 days. So it will be archived, and
Okay, how long will it be archived for?
31 days.
Okay, thank you. I think I've finished my questions, and there aren't any others. So this is the point at which we ask if responsible authorities have any questions. There aren't any responsibility authorities present, and the responses from responsible authorities are in the report, and they haven't raised any concerns as the report indicates. So this is the point at which other persons may then ask questions of the applicant. So, Mr. Olsen, this is an opportunity for you to not put your case, but basically ask the applicant any questions about the case he's put so far.
Okay, so thank you everybody for coming along. I didn't realise I'd have caused quite this much of an occasion, and we've been speaking before the meeting, and it's nice to put a face to a name. I've only really got one question, and it's about the Morrisons monitoring, the auditing. Now, I have an experience of Morrisons. 13 years I worked in their core stores, so at a quite high duty manager level as well. So I'm familiar with Challenge 25 and the licensing laws, and I'm very familiar with how challenging it can be dealing with the public, especially around the issue of alcohol sales. So they monitor and audit you, probably to make sure you are complying with their rules and regulations to keep their good name good. But do they, in their monitoring and auditing, do they actually ask for transparency about trouble with the police, trouble with youths, or is it just a tick box exercise that you are putting up the posters where they need to be, the staff are wearing their Challenge 25 badges, the relative training is adhered to, etc. Are they close to the activity that their business actually has within the community itself?
Just they do like a transparency. They come and check all the things, as you said, all the badges, all the signage and everything, and they do a mystery shopper program. So where they send underage people to do a shopping, and they will check, and if we are failed for 3 times, we'll be in serious trouble. And even the council do the same things, and even the lottery program, they are introducing the mystery program. So there's like so many people watching. And other than that, we have a community responsibility. So because we are the manager, the owner, they live in the same estate as well, and he got 2 kids as well. So we know how the responsibility works and stuff. And even the other shops he have in Wales, and he didn't have any problem with the council regulation or something, and he got the premises license for like 15 years or more than 15 years, and he's working, and he didn't have any problems with underage sales or something, and we are knowledgeable. And before owning the shop, he was the manager in various big supermarkets. And as you said, the Morrisons, I don't know what about the supermarkets and what they own one, but for the franchise, they are more difficult because they are investing more money on us, and they are not charging any franchise fees or anything. So just on the auditing, they are very, very strict. and they monitor all the sales and everything, mystery shopper sales and everything, and they come and train for a couple of beginning. They will be training, and after that certain things they will be taking action on us.
Is there plans to have a security guard at the shop?
No, there won't be any security guard, and for the convenience store, we can't afford to have a security guard just standing outside the thing and everything. So we are just, the staff will be trained and they will be monitored by the staffs itself, because to have a security guard in a convenience store is a bit of luxury. So we can't afford to have in any of the convenience store, we don't have any security guards.
Okay, no more questions? Okay, thank you for that. Okay, this is the point at which responsible authorities, if they were... Sorry, hold on a moment. Okay, Councillor Smith would ask a question, which I think is probably a clarification, but yes, Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Yes, it's on page 37 of the application. There's a plan of the store and the layout, which is different to the plan in the shop that we looked at this morning. And it's the layout of where the tills are, with the spirits behind the tills. And it's a different configuration. So can you clarify which configuration it's going to be? Because currently you've got the tills basically by the entrance door, whereas before they were sort of where Hancock Road is, but they were sort of behind the planting. You understand what I mean, Andrew, because we looked at it, didn't we? So, if you could clarify that, please.
I think on the plan, I think it's an old one. Maybe the Richard Baker didn't update the new one. We have changed the current plan because the till was initially planned next to the door, so the visibility of the door is not clear. So we moved to the other side because we can have a more clear visibility of the entrance on this side and that side, and all the things will be clear. So we made a change on that one.
We change it on the side.
So what we saw at the site is the plan.
Update.
Okay, thank you.
So have we got that clear? Brian, are we clear about that, the change there?
It is clear. I would just need to have a word with legal just before you go and retire as to whether the application is then legitimate because the plan has changed since then. So normally, if you change the layout, you would have to make a variation to the application. So we just need to check on that point.
Okay, we'll check that shortly, Mr. Key. Is that possible to check it in a short while? Okay, I've just confirmed with Mr. Key, who's our legal officer, and I mean the legal advice is that rejigging the layout is acceptable because this is not like a bar or something like that, but it's actually a shop. But what we will need is a clearer definition and plan of what is the layout that we're talking about. So I think perhaps, okay, that can be undertaken by email. So you've explained to us on site where you intend to place the tills and the alcohol, the wines and spirits, and also the where the fridges with chilled wine is going to be. And I do need to confirm that where the fridges with chilled wine is going to be in line of sight of people behind the tills. That's correct, is it not?
Yes, yeah. We have the plan, and I can email the things to Brioni, and where the cameras are going to come as well. So I can point the cameras, and I can give the updated version of the plan to you by email.
Okay, so all we need is for you to email to Bryony an updated plan of the layout, which you've just described this morning and described to us on site. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Right. I think I was indicating that this is a moment for responsible authorities to put anything, but they've okay.
Something's just occurred to me that I think I'd like to ask, which is, as a percentage of your overall alcoholic range, can you tell us how much of it is bottled wine, how much of it is spirits, how much of it is alcopops, how much of it is single cans of beer, single bottles of beer, which are bought for the intention of sort of drinking, maybe not immediately, but certainly soon after purchase. Does that make sense? All of those things that are likely to be tempted to be bought by younger people.
As a percentage, it's too early to us to discuss at the moment because we don't know, because we just got the plans, and the range are not set out, because after the shop fitting only the Morrison will go the plan. And the Morrison, we don't really sell any single cans of beers. It's all 4-packs. So there's no single, but the bottles will be there. Single bottles will be there. But that will be like on the alcohol sales, maybe like a 5% or something. And alcohols also, it will be like 5 to 10%. And maybe the wines and stuff, maybe 25-50%. But we can't, exactly, I can't just promise what's the percentage of the sales, but I can assure that there's no single cans of beers are sold. So for immediate consumption.
Okay, I just missed. So no single cans of beer. There will be single bottles of
yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
What was the point you made about alcopops?
Alcohol, at the moment we don't sell that much, and there's no much range on Morrison, so maybe like 5% of them, the total sales. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not sure about alcopops?
No, at the moment we don't,
Okay.
because they didn't send the range at the moment for us. So
Right.
once the setting up all the things, only they will be giving the store planograms and stuff. So,
Okay, okay, all right.
and it's too early to answer that question. Sorry for that.
Okay, Mr. Olson.
So Morrison's determined the range of what you sell in the store. It's not something that you dictate to them.
Yes, the Morrison give the store plans and planograms to us. If we have run the business before Morrison and we are taking over the Morrison on the thing, we can dictate. But this is a brand new shop and we don't know what's going to sell, what's going to think. So we are going to stick with the Morrison's plan. And we don't know the area, we don't know anything about it because we are just starting the business from scratch. So we are investing with the Morrison and they will be telling this need to be sell and sell. And after a couple of years only we can just suggest them that this is selling, we need to stop that, this is going, this is people asking, we are doing this. So it's all by Morrison's, yeah. All the planograms and everything by Morrison's.
Okay, thank you for answering the additional questions. Okay.
And one more point. All the stocks are supplied by Morrison's. So we are not going to do any cash and carry or anything. So 100% we need to buy from Morrison. Only the local supply we can have, like for example, the sandwiches. And if any local products like milk or eggs, we can have it. Other than that, we can't go to Booker or any other cash and carry for buying stuff because Morrison's is not allowed for us.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. There are no responsible authorities here because, as I've said, they've put their responses in writing. So, Mr. Olson, this is now the opportunity for yourself to state your case and objections. So, your whole case now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so my big objection is to the actual opening hours of the store itself. I don't have a problem with the shop, even that sells alcohol in the area that I live, and I live literally round the corner. I am probably 10 houses, 10 buildings away. I have moved from a very busy Medway in 2023 to a relatively quiet Thannington for a different period of my life, and I am concerned about the traffic of people and cars and whatnot that a shop on Saxon Way is going to bring. And my representation against the actual alcohol license is in hoping that it will force the issue to actually reduce the hours of opening for the shop itself. So if a shop will certainly serve the community, if the community wants alcohol, because it sounds like most of your range, 50% of your range is going to be alcohol. If you aren't able to run a business without selling alcohol, then there's something either wrong with the business or us, because if that's all we're actually wanting to buy from the shop. And I don't have a problem with alcohol. I like a beer. My concerns are for what it could potentially turn into in that quiet part of Canterbury, which has already been turned upside down for the older residents of Thannington because of the new development that I'm guilty of purchasing a house in. I can imagine there was quite a lot of protest and uproar when the idea of that development was first proposed. Why hasn't there been, I just want to sow this question, why hasn't there been before now a shop opened in the Thannington area before now? Like I say, I'm very new to Canterbury, and Thannington is the quieter end of, in comparison to the Surrey end of Canterbury, for instance. But why hasn't there been another shop? If there was such a need for the community to have a shop, why wasn't there another one? Has it been quashed? Has it been stopped and prevented by other residents, etc.? It's okay. So a shop there would be busy. A shop would do very well. I'd like to guess about 3,500 residents in that total area. So there would certainly be a call for the occasional things they've run out of, the bread, the milk, the vegetables, etc. And as a consequence of the success of the business itself, it will draw people and it will make that part of that development very busy. Which is the overall riding reason that I have a problem with. The residents that live above are, I believe, affordable housing residents. So they have their challenges and reasons for living in affordable rented accommodation rather than having to buy a house. And I have seen and witnessed some of the troubles that they have around there. And I wouldn't like to think that it being more busy would sort of have an impact on them, the lives that they already have now. But overall, it's for selfish reasons, because I don't want my road getting busy with more cars, more traffic, more people being drawn up there. I don't know if any of you have actually visited the area yet, but it's still under development. Even quite a few of the surfaces of the road themselves haven't actually been fixed, and the traffic, there's no tarmac, and the traffic that we currently have is making a ruin of the surface of the areas. So more delivery lorries, more traffic and customers, etc. Are only going to worsen that until they obviously fix the surface. That's not your issue, but it's just going to be a consequence of how busy you would be. There is a school planned opposite as well. You need to be aware of that. The fields directly opposite the Fairbrass Way, there is a school planned, a primary school planned. I think they're behind where they needed to be. They're projected to be opened, part of it, by the summer of 2025. So that needs to be something you need to be aware of. That's all I really have to say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Olsen.
Yep.
This is the opportunity for members of the panel to ask you any questions and clarification. So I'm going to offer to other councillors the opportunity of speaking first. I know I normally do, but I'll come in later. So, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Olsen. When you bought your property, did the searchers tell you that there was going to be commercial properties in that? Because there's, you know, from a planning perspective, those commercial properties have always been on the plan. And so were you aware when you bought your property that, yeah, okay.
It's the reality now. We've had a year, 18 months of peace and quiet, and now it's dawned on us exactly what it's going to be like. So if I can mitigate and minimise as much of the disturbance to the peace at the moment by, like I say, forcing the issue of reducing the hours of alcohol sales, which would hopefully force the issue of reducing your hours of operating and being open, then at least I'm doing something to keep it relatively peaceful and quiet.
Thank you.
Okay. So your main concern is around how busy it's likely to become. Are there other factors that might cause that busyness, to your knowledge, in terms of what is the end result of the end of the development and the roads? I mean, how are they going to affect you? All the roads they're basically connected roads to the estate, aren't they? They're not a through thoroughfare, as it were.
I think the overall planning for maybe the next few years is that at the moment it's you're right, it's not a through road, it's a destination, it's an end point for the people that live there. But there's intentions to change the current bus route. I can't remember the number of the bus that goes down Strangers Lane that comes off the A28 there. But it will come into the estate as the estate gets larger. So that will run directly up in front of the precinct. I'm calling it a precinct already, the shops there now. So it's inevitably going to get busier.
Okay, I mean, normally one hopes, for example, if there's enhanced bus services, that would actually reduce the amount of traffic, wouldn't you think?
I suppose from domestic cars, the intention is with public bus routes, is to reduce that. But I don't know the exact number of properties that are still intended to be built. But I'm sure a low ballpark figure, we're probably only a third of the way of what's intended to be there now. So buses or no buses, it's going to get busier.
Okay. No, I accept that. I mean, it's certainly the case that the whole estate hasn't been developed yet. And I take your point about the incomplete roads. I mean, there are certain bits of road that you don't want to drive down because there's lumps in the road, as it were. So I understand what you're saying. Okay, but your main hope is that if there was a reduced hours for alcohol, that would actually reduce the opening hours of the shop. Is that the main goal of your objections? Okay, right. Well, I don't have any further questions, and Okay, there's no responsible authorities here. This is the opportunity for the applicant, Mr. Tamaraja, to ask Mr. Olsen any questions that you would like to ask him. So you have a moment to think about it and ask him any questions at this point in terms of his overall objections.
Rather than questions, I have some answer for what he was asking. He was asking in Tannington, before the new build, there was no any other shops around the area, and why wasn't there? But if you carefully look after the area, and if you just drive through the houses, the old houses, there's no place to get a shop there. Most of them are houses. Or maybe it's 828 going there and there's no places to build like a small shops or anything. You can see some car shops and one garden center there, but there's no actual place to get a small convenience store or something, because even before that we were just looking at it. We were just driving through before this proposed came through, before the SAMS came through, we just was going like 5 years before. We were searching, okay, something in Canterbury, we need to open a shop or something, but we couldn't able to get a thing. And after this Saxons Field came, only they just advertised there's a commercial properties available. And we just worked to get the property 2 years now. So all the legal paperwork and the mortgages and everything, you know, there was struggle on getting the mortgages and all the things, and interest rates was going up. So that's what, there was not shops there. So for my knowledge, maybe the councillors and the licensing officer, you know more than the area, because as a business people, we were just researching, okay, where to get the product, because I got a shop in Ashworth, I got a shop in Folkestone, so I'm local. So he's my friend, he just traveled from Wales, and he said, okay, he need a shop in near to me, because we can be together with the friends and family. And other thing you told that...
Hold on, Mr. Let me just sort of clarify what you've just said. Which you need to put in the form of a question to Mr. Olsen. I mean, it sounds more like an answer from you as to some of Mr. Olsen's questions, but okay, so what you're basically saying is that you had looked at the possibility, I think you said, that you looked at the possibility of a shop elsewhere in the Thannington estate in the past.
And not in the estate, the old build area.
Okay, but that basically there was no suitable location for that. But that because of this development, it's raised the possibility of a suitable location for the kind of convenience store you're asking for. Yes. So that in a sense is an answer to Mr. Olsen's questions. But at the moment, the question is, have you got any questions of Mr. Olsen?
I got a question. No, I'm just explaining because he was raising the concern, so I just answered what he was asking. And as the chairperson was told that when you buy the house, it was like already proposed, like 4 units are there for commercial purpose. So when you buy the property, you didn't aware about that one, and you should have told by the developers that there are going to be shops there, and the new build houses, it will be like built for like another couple of years, because even when we get the shops, they advise us the development is still not finished and it's going to be for another 2 or 3 years. There will be like disturbance, there will be like road works, there will be some closures and everything. So they advise us before, when we get the property, this was going to come. And they sold the 4 units are proposed for shops, and 1 will be like for a convenience store, and the others will be for other shops. And it won't, there will be only 1 convenience store. So if you buy this one plot, other 3 won't be convenience store. So it will be different sort of businesses. So that one, they didn't inform you when you buy the houses?
No.
Mr. Olsen, can I check that you understood what the question was, and what's your answer?
Was I aware that of the 4 units, only 1 of them was allowed to be a convenience store at the point of actually buying the house? I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of there being any kind of rules for what the purpose of the units were to be. To be honest, in my own naivety, it was something that I'd actually overlooked it. And when we first bought the property, I was to move from an ME postcode to a CT postcode was quite special, and I had envisioned a little bakery and a little pet shop, maybe possibly a little garden shop there. I was very looking back, it was quite naive and very romanticising the idea of living in Canterbury. But that is actually interesting, that if there is one property there, it isn't going to be allowed to overspill into a second convenience store. Or do you mind me asking, is there any other restrictions with those units? Are they allowed to have restaurants that can serve alcohol, for instance? Do you know anything like that?
No, they can have a restaurant or takeaway, but they was telling, okay, if there's one restaurant or one takeaway, the unit can be only one takeaway. The other three, they can't override the business. And if it's like a retail shop, like a convenience, it will be a convenience, and they can't put any other news agent or something. The estate won't allow to override our business. So they will be asking what kind of business we are doing. Then only they give the thing, okay, you can go through. And when we because we are the first one to get the things booked in. So we had the bigger unit, and they said, okay, and they were saying the nail bar will be coming. And other two, they said they don't know what's going to be coming there, but they promised us there won't be anything for us to compete. So the competitors won't allow.
Okay. I think, are we happy with that at the end of that? Yeah. All right. Okay.
We are fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well, that brings us to the last point here, which is it gives the opportunity for the applicant, yourself, Mr. Tamaraja, to summarise your application. So if you can summarise it at this point, that would be helpful.
So the chairperson, I didn't understand what summarize means in what?
It basically means if you want to, you made your application in the first place. There's been a lot of discussion and debate since. You can simply make the application again, and if you wanted to make any points in respect of the discussion overall that's been had, you can include those in your summary of the application. Okay, so it's just a short way of actually maybe trying to make sure that you've answered any objections, or you've got other points or information that you'd like to add. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you for the meeting, and we had, and we made a application for SG Stores Limited, a Morrison Local, Unit 2 February, for sale of alcohol from Monday to Saturday 7 to 22 hours and Sunday 10 to 16 hours. And we had no objection from the local authorities or anything, and we had a objection from local residents, and that's why we are here for a meeting. And we told our perspective on how we are going to trade and how we are going to monitor the licensing, and how we are going to be responsibility for the community. And we'll be working along with the councils, and we'll be working with the licensing officers' guidelines, and we'll be making the CCTV cameras, as I said, and we'll be having local contact with the police. And as the Mr. Rolson's concern, we'll be looking after that, his concerns as well. The antisocial behavior, will be having a close monitor, and all the staffs will be trained, and there won't be any issues from the shops by the selling of alcohol to the public. So that's it. And we wish, like, if you can grant the license which we applicant, it will be good help for our business. And we already on the place for 2 months, and we had some other issues, and we are just paying the mortgage and everything like last 2 months without getting the shops open. So if we can quicken the process, it will be helpful for the business to build up. And thank you for the time, and thank you for being here. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So thank you very much for the application, and thank you very much for outlining the objection. I think you both have been in contact prior to this meeting no? Okay, all right. Okay, okay. Anyways, that's very useful. What we're going to do now is that the panel is we're going to adjourn to consider the application in private, which I think might take us possibly half an hour. Half an hour? Okay. So we're going to adjourn together with Mr. McKee, the legal advisor, to come to a conclusion and come back, and we'll announce that when we return, and we'll return at 5 to 12. Okay, so certainly go and get a bit of fresh air or whatever. You don't have to stay here, but do make sure you're back at 5 to 12. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. We said we'd reconvene at 5 to 12, and we are. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Tama Raja for putting the applicant's application. Thank you very much, and for answering questions. And also, I'd like to thank Mr. Olsen for attending to explain his concerns and his objections. So we have listened to all of those. What I'm going to say is that we have had mind to the licensing objectives that we have to have mind to, which are to do with protection of children, which are to do with prevention of crime and disorder, which are to do with public nuisance and so on. And we've come to the view that we have heard nothing that gives us any evidence to indicate that we should object to this application. We have heard and we've listened to Mr. Olsen and his concerns, particularly around the neighbourhood, and to the applicant's explanations about what they're going to do to mitigate it. So what we've decided is basically that we are going to grant the application with conditions, and some of those conditions have already been put forward by the applicants themselves, and there's an additional condition, and I'm going to ask Mr. McKee to explain what the decision is formally. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the licensing subcommittee today was considering an application under Section 17 of the Licensing Act 2003 for a premises licence. The subcommittee has taken account of the report prepared by the licensing officer which contained the application and the objection or relevant representation of Mr. Olsen. It's taken account of all that has been said here today, the submissions and representations and the answers to questions. It's taken account of the licensing objectives, as has been mentioned, and also of the Council's licensing policy, the Act itself with the licensing objectives, and the Section 182 guidance under the Act on how the Act should be applied. Very carefully considered all this. In relation to Mr. Olsen's representations, both in writing and orally today, the subcommittee considered no adequate reason or evidence relating to the 4 licensing objectives had been produced, and hence the decision to grant the application subject to conditions. The application itself, on page 35, sets out 9 conditions. The licensing committee impose those 9 conditions as applying to this premises licence, together with an additional condition that the applicant within 14 days shall provide the licensing officer with an up-to-date plan showing the layout of the premises. This spoken record summary of the decision will be written out in a written decision letter slightly more fully, which I hope to be able to email to the applicant within the next couple of days. I should inform the applicant and Mr. Olsen that they both have a right of appeal to the Magistrates' Court. That's under Section 181 of and Schedule 5.2, the Licensing Act 2003, and there's a very strict time limit of 21 days. And I think that concludes the summary of the decision.
Okay, thank you for that. So basically, I mean, in conclusion, I might want to say that I think there is an intention on the applicants to be the best neighbours they can possibly be in a residential area. And I hope and I would encourage that that approach continues. And I'm sure Mr. Olsen, the applicants would be happy for you to talk with them and discuss any other concerns that you have about that. And yes, it's certainly the case that we're not quite sure what the situation will be at the end of the development, all of the development, but that's basically a matter which is beyond the capacity of this committee to actually consider. So anyways, I'd like to thank you very much for coming along and putting those points and for the answers, and that's the decision we've come to. Okay, so thank you very much, and yeah, please have a nice day for the rest of the day.